Om Shri Sai Ram, offering my most humble and loving salutations at the lotus feet of our beloved Bhagawan, Shri Sathya Sai Baba. Brothers and sisters, it gives me great pleasure to continue this series on his story through the eyes of his boys. Today, the story has reached higher secondary school, the Sri Satyasai Higher Secondary School, and we heard in the last episode the inauguration of the school and how it started. Today, I have the pleasure of two more brothers joining us in narrating the story further, how it blossomed into a very beautiful school. So, as we start, let us begin with the prayer. And I request all of you to please join me. O Lord, take my love and let it flow in fullness of devotion to Thee. O Lord, take my hands and let them work incessantly for Thee. O Lord, take my soul and let it be merged in one with Thee. O Lord, take my mind and thoughts and let them be in tune with Thee. O Lord, take my everything and let me be an instrument to work for Thee. Dear brothers and sisters, today I have two brothers who would join me in taking the story forward. So let me introduce them. First is brother J.S. Bhargav and other is brother Bharat Datt. Sairam brothers, and welcome to this offering of his story. Let me take this pleasure of briefly introducing both of our brothers. Brother J.S. Bhargav, he is right now from Hyderabad. He's a senior scientist in geochemistry. He works with the Geological Survey of India, Ministry of Mines, Government of India. Brother Bhargav also joined the school in 1983, and after his 12th, he went on to do his graduation and finished with his master's in chemistry from Prashantanilayam campus in 1990. Brother Bhargav, we look forward to hearing your story and thank you for joining us. Welcome. Brother Bharat Datt, he is presently joining us from United States, from New Orleans in Louisiana. He works as a director of perfusion services in Children's Hospital in New Orleans. He was also of the same batch from 83 to 94, and where he did his schooling, graduation, and masters. And after masters, he also had a privilege of teaching for a year and a half in the school. And then he became the first boy. Actually, Swami selected them to join the hospital. So he was the first batch who went to Delhi and other places to get trained for the hospital. So Bharat, we are very happy to have both of you here. So welcome, Bharat.
Thank you.
So as I start, let me start with Brother J.S. Bhargav. Brother Bhargav, like to hear from you. How did your journey start with Bhagawan? How did Bhagawan really knock at the hearts of your family? How did he come to you? If you can quickly share that piece of story, we'll take it forward.
Yeah, actually, my parents, they were devotees even before I was born. They were influenced by one of my uncles, my father's cousin brother. Actually, he had during 1960s, early 60s, he was in great problem, and somehow he was not accepted by the society. He lost his government job, and he was almost on the roads. He was having some habits like drinking habit, and my father, his family disowned him. The whole society disowned him, and my father, he picked him up and then tried to see to it that uh, he was in line. He tried to treat him, but he couldn't. So finally, uh, he wanted to commit suicide, and then instead of going below the train, boarded the train. And during his journey, he saw Swami's photograph in a newspaper. Oriya newspaper was there. We were there that time, Bhubaneswar. And in that newspaper, he read Sai Baba Puttaparthi. It was 1960s. And then he decided, he dropped the idea of suicide, and then he went to Puttaparthi. And then he had, that was the only alternative for him. In Hindi, we call Doobte Hue Ko Tinke Ka Sahara.
Tinke ka Sahara.
So, yeah. So that was,
The
that
last
article
straw.
was the last, yeah. The drowning man's only hope is the straw. So he went to Puttaparthi, 1963, I think, 62, 63. And there he was waiting for Swami to, that time hardly 150 to 100 people during darshan. And sands, not now like Kulwant Hall, it's not there. And he was there for almost 20 days. Swami never spoke to him. Even in that 50 to 100 audience, Swami was not looking at him. And he finally decided to commit suicide, the extreme step. And that evening he thought, let me have Swami's darshan and then take the extreme step. And that day evening, Swami straight away comes to him and says, Pada, Lopik po. He didn't understand what's
Come
happening.
inside.
Come inside. So he again looks at Swami. Swami says, you go inside the room, interview room. He was shocked. He runs inside the interview room, and this was the first hand experience he told me. He went inside the room, and Swami told everything that happened with him, how he was implicated in wrongly, how he lost his job, how he was castigated by the society, family, and how my father took care of him, and how he wanted to commit suicide. And hearing this, he was down, was crying like a child, and Swami told him, "Don't cry like a child. You are a good person. You are because of your past karmas, you have come here. So now your future is going to change." He told, "Your future is not in Bhubaneswar or anywhere else. Your future is in Delhi. Delhi is almost 2,000 kilometers from Bhubaneswar." He told, "Your future is in Delhi. Go there." And I created Vibhuti, applied on his forehead, and told, "Don't worry at all. All your vices are vanishing from today onwards. Your family, the society, all will give you the prestige and the honor that you deserve. And you are now my child. Don't worry about that." And my uncle came back to Bhubaneswar, and my father didn't believe, because my father was a communist. And he told, "See, you tell all your vices, you do whatever you want. I'll give you another 1,000 rupees. You go to Delhi or wherever you want. I don't believe you." And my uncle, he went to Delhi. In another 2 years, he came back as a assistant lawyer to a leading advocate in Supreme Court. And he told my father that, "See, brother, I have settled." Then my father believed. He said, "Yes, no one could set right this fellow, that Sathya Sai Baba of Puttaparthi, he could be just half an hour of interview, he could set him right. And this communist person, my father, he got completely changed. Till then, he was not worshipping anyone. And from then onwards, he was worshipping only Swami. And
Excellent.
that's how my family came to Swami.
Got into it.
After that, we never looked back. After that, I was born in 68. And then for me, Swami is God. Because
So
my
basically,
father
you're
believed only in God. Yes.
beautiful, beautiful. That's nice, Bhargav. And I'm looking forward to hearing more of that intricate stories. But let me bring in Bharat. Bharat, so I believe your father was a colonel in army, and you're based in Udhampur. So
That's right.
how did Bhagwan reach there?
It's a shock for our entire family. Unlike Bhargav, we were not devotees of Swami. Um, but before I go into the story, I would love to start with the Ganesh Sloka.
Sure.
Um, to start out things here. Shuklam Varadharam Vishnum Shashivaranam Chaturbhujam Prasannavatana Sarva Vigno Sairam. So my journey with Bhagwan came almost as a shock to a person like me. Like you mentioned, Abhi, my father was a colonel. I was in Udhampur studying in Kendriya Vidyalaya, and mine and my brother's ambition was to join the army, like generations of my family. And I think I was in grade 10. I had just written my board exams, and my brother had gone to write the armed services exam in Delhi. And it so happened that Bhagwan was in Delhi. If I can remember correctly, it was 1980 or 81. And Swami was there in New Delhi, and he was staying at Colonel Berry's house. Colonel Berry was a great friend of my father, was a course mate. So he called up my father and said, "Listen, Sai Baba is with me in my house. You must come and see him." And my father said, "Listen, I am in Kashmir, but my wife and son are in Delhi. I will ask them to come." And so they arrived at Colonel Berry's house. And as a backdrop, my mother was very religious. Would take me to Gurdwara on Tuesdays. We would go to the mandir. Hanuman was our Ish Devata. Thursdays Gurdwara, and then Fridays in the mosque in our army camp. My father was Commander 16 BRTF, and so they arrived and were sitting in the living room like anybody else, sipping Coke, and Swami comes out from inside a room giving interview to a family, walks straight up to my mother, as if she was a long lost friend. It's not our first meeting, it's a long lost friend. He came to my mother and said, "Kab aaya ma?" He said, "Aur dusra beta kidhar hai?" It was the second sentence. And his third
When did you come, mother, and where is your second son?
Where is your second son? And then his third sentence was, "Take namaskar, get both your sons to Puttaparthi, will give admission." And he walked away. So this was my introduction to Sri Sathya Sai Baba. And I didn't understand what was going on. My mother telephoned straight away and said, "Hey, we are all going to Prashanti Nilayam." And I asked, "Where is that?" And she said, "Andhra Pradesh." And I said, "Where is that?" that was my starting journey with Bhagawan.
I find it so interesting. Yeah. So when when did you have the first interaction, Bhargav? So when did you
Yeah,
get first interaction with Swami?
yeah, I still remember very vividly. That was, I think, 1972. I think I was 4 years old. and we went to Parthi. And actually, my mother, she was a devotee of Tirupati Balaji. So she insisted that myself and my father should go and do tonsuring. So we went, and after Tirupati, we went to Puttaparthi. That time, I think Dashara. So Dashara, that time, I think only East Prashanti and South Prashanti were there, and that was full. And we were asked to stay in the sands itself. There are huge trees were there, and under one tree we set up our luggage, our bed. Everything was there only. Cooking articles, everything was there only. And that was, I still remember. Uh, Little girls used to come from the Puttaparthi village and do the Chakka Bhajan, the dance with sticks. And Swami used to come out of the mandir, and he used to distribute clothes, and then he used to come round in a round. And whenever Swami used to come out, we used to get up and take his darshan. It was such a beautiful. I still remember, because I can't remember what happened 4 years back, but I can remember what happened on my 4th years of age. Swami is coming, we used to get up. Otherwise, we are sleeping or eating, and we used to get up, and Swami used to come, give darshan, give padnamaskaram. And during one that time, I was sitting very small. I was sitting in my father's lap, and he directly came to us, and he created vibhuti, applied to my head, tonsured head, and my father's head, and he said, patted on us and told, "Welcome to Puttaparthi." And the next thing was, he went to my mother, and she took the Padnamaskar, and she fainted. We didn't understand what happened, but actually, prior to that, she had fits, hysterical fits, because of some sad incidents in our house. She developed that hysteria, and she used to get fits. And after this shock, she got a shock and she fainted. And after this incident, the whole hysteria was gone. There was no more hysteria, and she never used to faint. And prior to that, he went to so many doctors and so many medicines, but nothing helped out. And that was our first visit. Earlier, I just want to mention this. Prior to that, when I was not born, I think in 67 or 68 January or 67 end, I think, my parents went to Puttaparthi to have Swami's darshan after my uncle told of Puttaparthi, Sai Baba of Puttaparthi. They wanted to, my father said, I will go and thank Swami for curing my brother. And they came, but they didn't have darshan. They went to, someone told in Puttaparthi that he went to Anantapur, and from Anantapur they said, no, he is in Vrindavan. They went to Vrindavan, there also you are not there. So finally, they never had the darshan. Then my father came to know that no, he is not an ordinary person unless and until he wishes, unless and until he wills, a person cannot have his darshan. And they came back, and in 72, this was the incident that this was the first darshan we had of Swami, and that was a great time we had.
Excellent. BD, I don't think yours life was so easy, and because you had a different background. So how was your first coming to Puttaparthi and interaction with Bhagawan?
Yeah, my first interaction with Bhagwan was first day of Puttaparthi. You know, I was sitting in the sands with my father and reading an Amar Chitra Katha comic, and Bhagwan came for darshan and looked at my father and said, "Go inside." And my father got up and he looked at me and he said, "You too." uh, and we both went inside. My brother was the first day of college, so he had got admission already in university, and he was already there waiting outside the interview room. It was funny how he got admission before I did. I'm not sure what the dates were for grade 11 and starting UG first year. But he was on the veranda waiting for us. We walked in. My mother came in from ladies' side, and we sat down. Yes, yes, that's one of the very old pictures with the.
You
So,
continue with your story, no problem.
yeah, yeah. So we walked in, and Bhagan um started talking to us about our life in the army, and started talking to me about friends. And then he looked at me and he said, Bharat, no old friends. Only Swami is your friend. He's in you, with you, around you. No old friends. Only Swami is my friend. And we are all. Bhagwan is so gracious and such a sweet person that his just physical, his divinity and his physical aura just overwhelms you. You just feel so honored to be in his, and graced to be in his presence. And I felt all those feelings. But like Swami says, we all have monkey mind. So as soon as we left the interview room, my thought came, okay, Swami has asked me not to disconnect with all my old friends, but I have this one very best friend of mine who I must write like a farewell letter, I thought. So I went to the post office there and got like the blue inland letter form, which used to be there, to write the letter. And my mother was berating me, and she was saying, "You bad boy, Swami just told you not to have connection with your friends." And I said, "Mom, I'm just writing a favor letter, nothing to it. I'm just going to say goodbye and never talk to this person again." His name was Sarabjit Singh Sidhu, somewhere in Kashmir. And so I, s- so in the evening, and that very evening, I sat down in darshan, and I was writing that letter. I wrote that letter, and I kept it inside my comic book. And Bhagwan came, and of course, the expectation was not that we would again be called for interview, but we were called for interview again, the very evening. And as soon as I entered the inner interview room with Bhagwan, he looked at me and he says, "Haath mein kya hai?" He said. So I said,
What's in
"Swami,
your hand?
what's in your hand?" So Swami, comic book. Nahi, andar dikhao. He said. So that's when it struck me that my letter is inside, and he took the letter from inside the comic, and he said nothing, and he said, "Bhagwan is also postman Ra." He told me. It was such a powerful statement from him, and it basically was a signal to me is you can't do anything without I not knowing, and you are going to go on the path I have decided for you to go, right? And then, if not, just to make sure that I got the message, the emphasis of the message, he asked me not to leave the room when my family left. So in the interview got room, everybody filed out. He told me, "You stay." So I stayed alone inside the inner interview room door. He looked at me. He started staring in my eyes, and it was. I don't know if either of you have seen that stare. It is so scary, and you want to look down, but you shouldn't look down, and but you don't know what he's going to do. And I was, getting afraid and scared and panicky. And he said, "You think Bhagwan is not God, right?" He made that statement. And I said, "Absolutely not, Swami. How can you say that? How can you say that?" He says, "No, no, no. Inside, deep in your heart, there is some doubt. Let me take care of that doubt," he said. Uh, and he waved his hands, and he created this photograph of me and my best friend smoking a cigarette behind Chinar Cinema Hall in the last day of my 10th grade, playing hooky from school. And I looked at that picture, and I just, tears started rolling down my cheeks. And this was the moment where I knew that I am in the presence of Bhagwan, the Lord God, who knows, who's omniscient, omnipresent, omnipotent, and and you know and the fact that he preserved my self-respect by not trying to shame me in front of my family and having one-on-one conversation with him.
Let me tell people that Chinar is the name of the cinema hall in Udhampur. It is supposed to be a popular one. So he took a picture of yours smoking in front of the cinema hall.
Behind, in front, yeah.
So I think that was a good introduction to Bhagawan. Eh?
Yes, it was like I said, it was not a soft introduction.
So Bhargav, when you came for as a student, how was your first impression to the whole campus and Bhagawan?
Actually, during my childhood, I was a different kind of person. I mean, uh, I never used to think anything. If you put me in one place, I'll be sitting there. You give me an instruction, I'll be following that. There is nothing like thinking, self-thinking. Even I am a student of Kendriya Vidyalaya Bhubaneswar, and I was not a good student at all. Pass हो गया था बहुत है, but I had confidence that I'll score first rank. That was the thing. So, and very low in self confidence. बहुत ही, I mean, if 4 people are there, I will be very afraid to go in between them and talk to them. And कुछ भी, I mean, that was the worst thing. No games, music zero, and I was I was good at nothing. And my parents, and as I told you, you give me an instruction, I'll follow it. My parents said you should join Swami's college. I didn't know what is that college. After 10th, what I should do, I didn't know. So they said you go and join Puttaparthi. I said okay. And till that time, I'll tell you, the concept of God is like I have seen so many people, my uncles, aunts, praying to different gods, and even my mother, she was devotee of Tirupati Balaji. Everything is going from one side. People pray to God, and nothing comes back. And my mother used to say, no, prayers are accepted by God, and you won't be getting, you are getting blessings. I said, okay, blessings, but some form should be there. So my concept as God is it's only one way. And Swami's photo was there for me. Swami is God. So early morning, my father used to wake me up, and then after that incident, he used to wake me at 4:30 and then make me do Omkaram, Supravatam, all that. And in his own uh, way, he used to make me do bhajans also. He was a very bad singer. And of course, I never had interest in bhajans because of the way he used to sing. So, and this is the way I was tuned. So, when they said you go to Puttaparthi and study, I said, okay, no problem. Because for me, Puttaparthi, home or any XY place, everything is same. So, when I came to Puttaparthi with an idea that Swami is also a god like Tirupati Balaji, only we pray and nothing comes back. When I came to Puttaparthi and sat in the darshan, I saw in the veranda during, I think that was month of May, I think. Our entrance test was conducted. I just came 1 week before, myself and my father. And I saw in the veranda as soon as Swami comes out of the interview room for giving darshan, I used to see some people, elderly students, sitting and reading. And whenever Swami comes, they used to get up and show the book. And as if they have not understood some line in that book, and Swami used to explain to them, and Swami was creating vibhuti. I got some kind of shock. What is this God? When we are asking something, he's immediately replying. Maybe even without asking, also he's creating some vibhuti and pendants, necklace. This is different kind of God. So I became interested. No. At any cost, I have to join. Then my thought process started. No, I should
So
join this.
you got interested in joining as a student.
Yes, after seeing that Swami's involvement with the devotees. See, let me tell you, we have devotees of Swami, not disciples of Swami. So devotees means he is God. The first person who comes, he becomes a devotee directly, not discipline, a disciple. So he is Guru and God together. So the first impression was I should join at any cost. And the moment I entered, I mean, after the entrance, after seeing this, I was feverishly praying to Swami that Swami, please see to it that I get into your institution. I don't know with what confidence, because my background was very poor, absolutely very weak in studies, and I was not at all good at anything. But only confidence is if I pray, this God is accepting our wishes, so He'll 100% take me. So I don't know what I wrote in the entrance exam, but finally I came to know that our batch and maybe subsequent batches, Swami used to take the names of the people whom he wished to accept as his students. A list of 100 people, out of that he
Yeah,
will accept
he
60.
did it. He did it for many years. He would select the
Yes.
final list.
So I thought, yes, Swami has accepted me as a student, and that was a very good booster for me and my confidence. So, the moment I entered the hostel after getting selected, the first impression is because we never saw any Swami student. Now, of course, people can see, but that time, very rarely people used to see Swami students. So, my impression of Swami students were in the inside the hostel, people will be reading Bhagavad Gita and Vedas, they'll be doing yoga, and they'll be very serious. And my God, I have to conduct myself very in a disciplined way, otherwise, I'll be kicked out the next day. And that was the fear, and with a fear and a sort of prayer, I was entering our hostel premises. And to add to my fear, the first encounter was with our old warden, uh, Mr. Nityanand Menon.
Oh,
My God, I thought gone case. How can I study 11th and 12th class? 2 years I had to study in this type of hostel. But that was very short lived. And when after Mr. Nityanand Menon introduction, when we came into the corridors, we saw our elderly brothers helping our with our luggage. I thought, what is happening? The people are jovial, very jovial, and taking us. See, generally, I heard that
reception of the seniors was very interesting
yes,
always.
generally in other hostels, the younger people they get ragged. Here the elder brothers are helping the people, younger people, welcome, please welcome, Sairam. And I was somewhat confused, totally confused. I said, okay, let
No,
happen, whatever happens, let it happen. So that was
Bharat,
the way.
good. Let me bring in Bharat. You had a different, like you studied till 10th in an army school, and the environment was very different. So, as you were saying that you didn't expect things to turn out in this manner. So, how was your initial reaction to joining the school in Perthi?
Yeah, well, my initial reaction for the school was neutral. I mean, but for the hostel, I was not very happy, because, getting up at 5 a.m. is fine. I used to do that, even in Udhampur. But I used to do that for different reason. We used to go for horse riding, things like that. But I think that what I was worried about was I have to eat chawal and sambar, and I won't get roti, and the food is going to be very different. Those are my concerns. Also, and also my concern was, I didn't have a orderly. My father used to have a orderly. The orderly would polish my shoes, iron my clothes, get ready, take me to school. I was a very spoiled individual. Right, but here in the hostel, I had to do everything on my own. Right, we did have dhobis and everything, that we had to do everything on our own. So in fact, I actually tried to sabotage my admission into the higher secondary school. So, Abhi, if you want to hear the story, I can share with you all right now.
Sure, make it short and quick. Well, like, nice to hear that. Like,
Yeah. So, for our 11th grade, if you remember, we were originally supposed to write English exam, and math and science exam, and we were all preparing for all that there. And my father was concerned because he knew I was weak in math, so he was always, telling me, you have to review your math. And actually, Swami would come to me and say, "Padhai kiya?" He would ask me every day in the darshan line, "Padhai kiya?" And I would nod my head. I said, "Swami, padhai kiya." But inside my math textbook, I had a comic book, because my intention was that if I failed my math exam, then I could go home to Udhampur. So that was my idea. So we all filed in for our entrance exam that day. In morning we had English exam, I think. So we wrote our English, and then we came down. If you remember the lawn in front of the school,
Yeah.
we sat down, had picnic lunch,
Yes.
and then my father was asking me some last minute questions, and I was nodding my head, and I was saying, okay, I'm going to take care of this in the afternoon. And so we went up to sea floor, and I remember seeing a long line of people in outside the classroom, and no one knew why the room was locked. And I asked somebody, and they didn't know, and people were all confused and milling around the room. And suddenly, Mr. Shivram Krishna came. He was Mr. Portly gentleman, and he ran up the stairs, so he was out of breath. And he said, boys, listen up. I have some news for you." And he said, "Swami has sent word that for 11th grade entrance exam, there is to be no math and science exam." So I looked at him, and I said, "Oh my God!" Now I aced my English exam. I knew that, because coming from a middle class background, my English was great, and so we went down, and my father looked at my face, because my face was all crestfallen, and he said, "Are you okay?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm okay." He said, "Well, you should be happy. There's no math and science exam." I said, "Yeah, I'm happy." We went to the mandir, and Bhagawan called us for interview that very evening. And as soon as I entered the interview room, Abhimanyu, you won't believe it. The first thing he looks at me, he says, math and science exam kaisa tha ra?" He said. My mother is looking at me, and then when he took a family in the interview room, she's asking me, "Why did he ask you math and science? You didn't write math and science." I said, "Mom, please keep quiet. I don't want to talk about it."
Actually, I'm reminded of myself also. When I came, my father was asking. I was coming from Bihar. My dad was there, and same thing happened. He said, "What are you preparing for?" And I said, "I am not applying for science, so they can't ask me science. And I have not studied arts, so they can't ask me arts. I am applying for commerce, which I have not studied, so they can't ask me commerce. So let's see what they ask." So like that, I came for test, and actually, we got there was some communication something, and we came late. I was half an hour late in the examination, and the paper was only English. And coming from Bihar, where they taught English also in Hindi, my English was superb. So my dad was really scared, like, will he ever pass that paper? And I went in, and let me give you a little humorous thing. It is when I entered the examination hall, I remember Mr. Rammohan Rao. He was my invigilator in that hall. And surprising for me, the most surprising thing was everybody was writing. Since I was half an hour late, so everybody was busy writing, and I came in and very politely received me, and he said, "Son, don't worry, boy, just sit down." And he made me sit, and he said, "Do you want to have water?" Because he thought I may be nervous because I'm late for half an hour. So he gave me the paper to write, and he said, "Take care, and if you need more paper, ask me." And then he went out, and almost he stood at the door of the room. And I'm used to seeing invigilator walk up and down the hall 24 hours. They can't let us like write comfortably because there's a fear of cheating and all that. And here I'm seeing that nobody's bothered and everybody's writing. So that was the initial shock for me too, like which world I have come in here. And surprisingly, I finished half an hour early, and I don't know, my name was there. So it's a very, the introduction to the Puttaparthi is amazingly different. So, okay, so let us continue this story further. So, we all got admitted, you all joined in. So, you see, seeing Swami before as a student and seeing Swami after you become a student, there is a slight difference. His approach changes and the school also changes. What was your first take on that? Was Swami continuing to be same Bharat with you or Bhargav? How did you see him? His involvement?
Yeah, with student as a student, he was. I completely forgot because my parents, my father came, he dropped me, and he went away. Initially, I was afraid because I never left my house. Most of us, and I was in the hostel with 400 people. I slightly thought I'll become homesick. I thought I'll become homesick. But the next day onwards, when Darshan was there, I completely forgot my place, my parents, and I was feeling it was such a beautiful place with Swami, center of attraction. He's coming between the lines, giving Padnamaskaram, and he's talking to boys just like as if head of the family is speaking to us. And I completely forgot. I said, "This is the real place that I should have been, and I am here. Thank you, Swami." And I completely, frankly speaking, I forgot my parents. I forgot my friends. I forgot my place. I forgot my all my relatives. I was immersed in Puttaparthi, only looking at Swami and Darshan. What is the next in the hostel? What is the next activity? In what should I get involved? Because this is the best chance I got. So Swami was like a central figure, and he almost he occupied my mind, and that's how he became very close to me personally as well as in darshan time also.
Beautiful.
He used to give
Very
whenever I used to think, yeah, whenever I used
wonderful.
to get the thought that Swami, please give me a Padnamaskaram because I should not get the thought of the house again. And invariably used to come and give Padnamaskaram in the middle of the line. So it was a great experience, really.
Bharat, what about you?
Yeah, my first 2 3 years was a blast. I mean, I didn't even remember anybody or anything. It went away so quickly. Like Bhagwan says, Bangaru. He was trying to make us Bangaru, gold. And so myself and we there were five of us North Indian boys. Bhagwan really showered a lot of grace on us. Me and my brother, Jagdish Chawla, Anil
Yeah, I
Mehta.
showed the picture. Yeah.
Yeah, Jagdish Chawla, Anil Mehta, and uh, Prabhu was his name. I think I can't remember his last name. So he really did. In fact, because of us, rotis were introduced in the menu for. There's Anil Mehta and Gautam on the right, and
That
that's
is
Prabhu.
Anil, that is Gautam, that is
Yeah,
Prabhu, and
yeah,
that is you.
that's me. Yeah,
Hmm.
and it was really a blast. A lot of times Bhagwan would come. It was very informal relationship with Swami. Many times he would come to us in darshan line and whisper to us that don't go to college tomorrow. I am coming to hostel. He would say. So we would all, go to the warden and give sick letters, and the warden would know that, it was a charade, and he would take the sick letters, and then Bhagwan would come, and we would sit in the VIP room with him, and hours of talking. It was amazing, eating lunch with him.
Bharat, since you mentioned about the chapati, do you recall how the chapati started? Because Swami himself asked, how's the food? And everybody very big gave a grim look to him. And then he called the warden
Yeah.
and he said, what are you doing? You're giving sambar and roti to all my boys.
Yes.
And they are from north. They can't
Yeah.
take it. So
Yes.
warden said, Swami, I will change. He said, what will
Sambar,
you change? You are also
sambar
from
and
south.
rice. Yeah, sambar
Sambar
and
and rice.
Yes.
Because actually he asked some boys, right? He asked, what was the lunch, breakfast? And the boy said, Swami, idli and sambar. Then Swami said, what was lunch? He said, sambar and rice. So there was too much sambar going on whole day. Then Swami told Warden that you don't know anything, you are from South. Let me tell you. So he took him inside. You remember he got a menu made for us?
Right. Yes.
I believe
Yes.
3 days he made the menu for us. And then fourth day he said, I've made the menu for 10 days. So then that 15 days, I think revolving it was. So we used to
Yes.
have every day different items.
Yes.
So that's
One
how the whole menu changed in the hostel.
one of the most horrifying menu items was the pesarattu with the tamarind chutney. It was hard for me to consume that. Um,
But there was another complaint which Warden gave, Swami, that these North Indian boys are converting South Indian boys. They are all eating chapatis now.
yes.
So
Yes.
then early morning, Swami said, let the boys make it. So we all used to go for duties. Depending on the classes, there was potato peeling, there was chapati making and all that. So we
Yes.
used to roll chapatis, and that's how it started.
Yeah, related to food, Abhi, I have an interesting story with
Sure.
Swami, which I would like to share. Like you mentioned, when I was in 11th grade, I was a portly fellow. I was fat. That's the best way to put it. And I used to come and sit in front. We used to run up in the front, right? And Khayal Das used to keep Mr. Khayal Das from the ashram stores used to keep a place for me. So I would sit right next to him. And Swami would come out after giving interviews and stand in front of Mr. Khayal Das and stare at him until he became all red in his face and his shaved head.
Yes.
And then he would look at him and he say, "Bada pakoda," and he'd look at me and he would say, "Chota pakoda," right? This would happen very, very common. It was very common. So one day I got very angry, and I said,
I recall Swami staring at him and he turning red. He used to get really red. Yeah? Hmm.
yes. So, anyways, with all this interaction, one day I got very upset with Bhagwan, and I said, I will show Bhagwan. That he's calling me pakoda. I'm embarrassed. So I stopped eating my meals. I would skip lunch and I would skip dinner. I would only eat breakfast. And also at that time, I would, that was my harmonium training phase. So I would go to the music room. I would blindfold myself and play the harmonium. That is the story about how the harmonium became so good after I played so much on it. But I would keep skipping meals, and around this time, Bhagwan went to Brindavan, and when he came back, I had lost about 40 pounds. So Bhagwan came out and he did the same thing. I was sitting next to Khayal Das, and he said, "Pakoda, kya ho gaya? You went from pakoda to bhaji." He said, in front of everybody. Then he called Narsim Murthy and he says, "You are not feeding this boy. His parents are coming in 2 weeks. I want him to regain weight. So, so you make sure he eats all his 3 meals." So after that, I had to actually serve my meals in the dining hall and actually go and sit on Narsim Murthy's room and eat my food for the next 2 weeks until my parents arrived.
Since you mentioned your size, I want to tell the audience, we had two, three of us. I don't think we have seen the fourth row of Mandir for at least a year or so in the beginning, because we would somehow squeeze in the front two, three rows. And I was a little polite, but Bharat was more aggressive. So he would just put his one foot inside and then put his big body in the middle of two legs, and he'll squeeze. So we had created a kind of a version for us that when we come, the portico expands, and it's lovely. So Bhargav, did you have a spot in portico to sit? Because we all used to
Yes,
we used to find a spot, right?
yes, I had two spots. One is wherever it is, besides the VIP veranda, and the other one is the second step, because Swami used to come down after darshan used to come after the circle, between the circle and the veranda, and there
He
these are
would
the two
stand there.
places. Yeah, and those were the spots where Swami actually caught me also, and I learned some lessons also there. Really, it was a nice, very nice fixing the spots. And I used to tell some of our people, please put my mat there. And my mat was different from others' mats. It was not like the original that was sold in the stores. I used to put a rubberized mat. So whoever sees it, he says, no, no, this is Bhargav's. So people used to say, yes, 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 let it be. And no one used to take that. And I'm still, I very widely remember uh, Swami coming, and I'm asking Swami interview, and wait. Uh, and suddenly my parents came, and I thought this is the best chance. And I was sitting on the lower veranda, and I told Swami, parents have come. I wrote one letter and gave it to him. And he said, he took the letter and told, ఒక పని చెయ్యి, బయటికి వెళ్ళి 2 garlands తీసుకుని వేసి. I mean, he told, go out,
Translate.
purchase 2 garlands and put them, welcome them. It was, it was
I think he
really
used to tell that to many of the boys,
many of
when
the
your
boys.
parents
Yeah,
have come, go and garland your parents.
yeah. And this I told to my parents, and my father was laughing there. He told, yes, right. He did the right thing to you. I told, why? When I am asking for an interview, is not a wrong thing. Then he told me, why do you need an interview? I told, I don't need, you need. You are my parents, you have so many doubts, and you have so many problems. So you need an interview. Then my father told, I don't need an interview because Swami has given me everything. And if any problem is there, he is himself solving. Why should I bother him? I don't want interview. I told, no, no, I want you to go for an interview. He told, I don't want you to ask for an interview. Then he told me, never bother Swami because he belongs not only to you, he belongs to the whole world. So he is solving our problems. You keep faith in him and sit quietly. If you require anything, he will ask you, he'll call you for an interview and he'll give you. Don't bother him.
So sweet.
And that was the
So sweet.
lesson I learned. After that, I never bothered him at all.
I think Bharat learned the lesson much late because he used to demand Swami. So
Yes.
Bharat, I remember your fascination with watches with Swami. So if you want
Yeah.
to share something about that.
Yeah. Absolutely. My fascination was that Bhagwan create a watch for me, and as His grace, frequently Bhagwan would call my family for interview, and inside the interview room door, in the inner interview room, he would ask me, "What do you want?" And I would say, "Swami, I want watch." And then he would slap me on my face, and he would say, turn around to my mother and ask her, "What do you want, ma?" And she would say, "Swami, I want you." And then he would look at me and say, "See, right answer." And then he would create something for my mother, like he created earrings. And so this happened very frequently. The very next interview, he did the same conversation happened. He asked me what I want. I said, "Swami, I want watch." He asked my mother, "What do you want?" And she said, "I want you, Swami." And he looked at me again and he said, "See, right answer." And then he created a locket for my brother, right? So this kept on happening for like at least a dozen interviews. Everyone got something from Bhagwan except me. So I decided that my strategy needs to change here. So next time when Bhagwan called us for an interview, he asked me, "What do you want?" And I said, "Swami, I want you." And he hit me on my head and he said, "Dona pota, liar." And he asked my mother again, "What do you want?" And she says, "Swami, I want you." And he created a gold bangle for her. And he said, and he said, uh, अंदर से आना है, अंदर से आना है, he says.
It
You
should
know,
come from inside. It should
within,
come
from
from the
within.
source. Yeah.
Yeah, it should come from within. So many years later, I don't know if you remember, in 12th grade, not many years, a year and a half later, around the end of my first year undergrad, I think, Bhagwan gave me the little freeze, the cold shoulder, and I think it was in the middle of undergrad one, and I had started playing harmonium, I think, in the mandir, but and that particular day I was late for bhajans, and I sat in front of the garage, very far away from the garage, and I had just landed in time for the last bhajan, and I had just sat down, and I was listening to the last bhajan being sung. I think it was V. Kumar singing, if I remember correctly, um, and I was feeling Bhagwan's presence and the love for him. And I closed my eyes and I said, I thought in my mind, Bhagwan, it doesn't matter if you don't talk to me or don't love me. I love you with all my heart, with all my being. I love you. You are my Lord, my God. You're my mother, you're my father, you're my friend, you're my everything, right? And as my eyes was closed and my tears were streaming down, Aarti was going on. I opened my eyes, and this, when Aarti is done, Bhagwan goes inside. 9.9 times out of 10, that's what happens. But I opened my eyes, and Bhagwan was standing on the ramp right there in the mandir. He was standing on the ramp, and then he was beckoning me, come, and when Swami is calling you, so you get up and you run, and I ran, and this, he was speaking to me after almost 6 months. For me, that is huge. I remember in darshan line, Abhi used to say, please, can you not sit next to me? If you sit next to me, Bhagwan will not come here. That's how strong the cold shoulder was. Uh, so, I mean, he didn't talk to me for 6 months.
We all have gone through that.
And so he called me. I went and I knelt in front of him, and he created vibhuti. He put it on my forehead. He gave it to me, and he says, "Parents ka baat hai ra?" He said. I said, "Swami, I don't know." He said, "Kal aata hai." So, college nahi jana. Come for darshan. I will give interview. And the next morning, I did not go to classes. I came. Bhagwan gave us interview, both me and my brother and my family. And in that interview, he created a watch for me. I had already forgotten, by the way. I had completely forgotten about the watch and everything. In that interview, he created a watch for me, and he said, "Watch your words, actions, thoughts, character, and heart." And the moral of the story is, we want something from Bhagwan, but we have to be ready for it before he gives it.
Bharat, if you recall, I think that watch or another watch, it was a gold color striped watch for you, and it had stopped working. And I think we thought that battery must be over, and you were trying to send your brother to Bangalore to buy the
Right.
batteries.
Yes.
But at the same time, Bhagwan indicated that it does not stop because of battery; it is because of the watch thing.
Right.
And one afternoon, just recalling Bharat, you jumped up and the watch actually expanded and broke in front of his eyes.
Yes.
He was watching it and it just crack, it clicked. He fell from the chair and he came running to me and he said, "Look what happened to my watch." So it was scary actually. Today we can laugh about it, but it was a very scary experience to see an ordinary watch expand and break in front of you. I think Bhagwan gave you another watch after that, right?
Yes, he gave me 4 watches. I kept breaking them again and again. But the significance, I think, of whatever Bhagwan gives you, whether it's a ring or a locket, is, he said, in times of need, when you call me, this is going to be the connection between you and me. And
we should never take this gifts of Bhagwan as a mere ornamentation, and
yeah,
it is basically a sign of his love and affection. but
Yes.
it also has a big protection.
Yes.
Okay, let me ask you from the school's perspective. How many of you remember the first visit of Swami to school and your interactions there?
I remember that. I
Yeah,
remember.
please start, no problem.
Yeah, I think it was a very revolutionary event. I believe that our principal, Mr. Habu, was not that he was didn't want it to happen, but I think he was of the opinion that the school was not ready. And
Actually, he was a very devoted man, and
yes,
he felt that Swami is God, and we should not force him. It's all his. He can come anytime he wants.
right. And also I think he thought that Bhagwan is busy. He's got so many other
Correct.
uh,
Important thing to do.
responsibilities and functions, and who are we? But here again, I want to mention that at our time, I think there were a lot of dynamic Swami's boys. There were a lot of dynamic people who maybe you can call them aggressive also. We were very we loved Swami very much, and we never took no for an answer. We wanted more from Swami rather than less from Swami. So when somebody would tell us no, that would inspire us even more to do it. You know, when he said, that's such a beautiful picture. When he said we shouldn't invite Bhagwan, all of us decided we should. Remember, Abhi? And then
Yes.
I'm not sure who organized the card and
Actually, three, four of us went. It was sorry, me and Veerbhadra Rao was another, and I think Bhargav, if you remember, couple of us,
Yeah,
we went to
yeah,
Swami directly. Actually, we told Mr. Habu, and Habu sir was kind of hesitant. So we just over, sidetracked him and went to Swami. And we are sitting in the front, and he came out and he said, "Hey, Mira boys, what do you want?" So we very smartly, we used to see some. I don't know how we were so comfortable with Bhagavan. We just, Swami, come to school. You have never come. He said, "Why should I come?" So we had nothing planned actually. We said, "Swami, come for music program." And we said, "Music program? Huh, Ostan, I'll come." So it was just decided, and we didn't expect Swami to agree so fast. So we were not mentally prepared that he would just say yes. And immediately he called Habu, and principal was sitting at the back. He came running and said, "Churu, these boys have invited me. I'm coming." So he was like, he was shocked. He didn't know what happened here. So Swami said, "They are calling me, so I will come on Thursday." And that was Sunday actually. Sunday morning it was. And Swami said, "Thursday, good day, I'll come." And he went inside. We had no guts to look at his face also, Habu sir's face, because we had not taken his permission. And we came back, and Habu sir just looked at us very sweetly and he said, "Boys, do you have any idea what you have done?" We literally had no idea what we had done. So he said, "Okay, no problem. Now you go and practice." And
yes,
then poor fellow, I think he must not have slept for 3 days, because then they had to paint the whole school. They had to clean the garden, make a garden for Swami. Then
yes.
they
yeah,
prepared Veda chanting. Then they had a science exhibition fixed up in the school. All of that drama had to go through, and we were like 10, 15 of us sitting in the hostel enjoying our music program.
The
So
road was also not ready. The
yeah,
road
yeah,
it,
was not ready. Yeah.
it was nothing ready actually. And I think this is the picture of Swami coming to the school for the first time. And we had no hall also, so it was a big room in B1, I believe, second
yes,
floor. Bhargav, is that you in Veda?
yes, yes.
Okay, so that was yours. So you joined Veda group.
Yeah, somewhere to be near Swami, we have to join anywhere. So I was there also with the mic also. Mic system I was trying to adjust. So
Oh, so you
Veda,
joined
mic
the.
and anywhere. Yes, yes.
See, I was not a music person, right? So I had to jump in somewhere. I think BD, you had started playing harmonium by then.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, accordion. Bharat was very good accordion player. And
Yes.
I did not, I wrote a song, so I became a lyricist for the music program. And then boy suggested that since you have to sit there, you must do something. So I played Malankas, that instrument, Malankas I played. So it was just like sitting with Swami, and I think Swami sat for, and there was so many things. There's a picture of that. Somebody had this Croatia backdrop. We put it up, and there's a Swami listening to our music program.
So Abhi, we can't see your pictures for some reason.
Oh, sorry. I didn't. Oh, I forgot.
No,
Sorry.
no problem. No problem. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Here it was the Croatia one with
Yes.
Mr. Habu speaking here,
Yes.
and that's when he welcomed Swami. And this is during the music program. He's clapping. I had a very small camera, so I had taken this picture, but it's not that clear.
Yeah. And did he not bring Mr. Kasturi with him?
Yes.
Yes.
Colonel Jogara was there. Mr. Kasturi was there.
Yes.
And I remember he spoke, then he gave discourse, and Mr. Rammohan Rao sir, he translated.
Mhm.
Yes.
And I'm sure people must have seen a picture of Swami having coconut. So that was the first coconut from our garden of the school. And our brother Sai Surendranath sir, who had become a teacher by then, and he offered that to Swami, and Bhagwan drank that first coconut. He took a sip of that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I mean, I think he was there for almost 5 or 6 hours.
no, not so long, not so long. It
Not
must
so
be
long.
around 2 hours or something because he went round. They showed him the exhibition. So it was a
Exhibition. Yes.
long. It didn't. Nobody expected Swami to just come like that, and because it's the first official visit of Swami.
Right.
He had come before, but officially he came that day, and that was a music program. I remember that song we sang. Uh, हम चाहे सत्य स्वरूपा बोल चाहे धर्म स्वरूपा बोल ये तो प्यारा साई है इसको प्रेम स्वरूप. So we all had that fun. So that was the time I remember. And I think after that there were we were involved with so many things. Then band. I think all of us were in the band too, Bharat. Yeah, Bhargav was also in trumpet.
Yes.
How did you join band? And the best part is none of us had learned music, right? Bhargav, you had any musical background?
Absolutely zero.
Bharat, what about you before you came to Parthi?
Yeah, I used to play piano before I came to Parthi, but other than that, it was not an interest of mine, if you can say that. It was my grandmother who forced me to learn piano, and I used to be able to read music and play piano. So I had some background, so it helped me. But of course,
Being
Bhagwan's
your classmate, I can say that Bharat had a very he had no singing voice. Let me put it politely. He had no singing voice,
yes,
and he had no musical the format of a person.
yes.
But it is a determination and hard work that
Yes.
you have made yourself a musician, a singer, and Bharat is one of the best keyboard players, if I may put it like that.
Well, I would say no, no, not so much determination as Bhagwan's inspiration, right?
Yes.
It,
Sure.
yeah, it was an inspiration. It was an opportunity to be close to Bhagwan, and singing bhajan even can be called a talent. It can be called a blessing. And even 30 years ago, Bhagwan knew that I will be so far away in North America, and this will be my bridge to him. And it has continued to be my bridge to Bhagwan. The ability of me to sing bhajans wherever it is, whether it's in my own house or in somebody's bhajan hall or over Zoom, it is my bridge which makes me remember and get close to Bhagwan whenever I want.
Yes, I remember this. BD, that Bharat, I agree with you. Singing bhajan is purely blessings of Bhagawan, and I still remember when I was there in Puttaparthi, I never sang many bhajan. You people know I was very bad at it, and even 10 years before today, that is maybe 2010, I was not a bhajan singer at all. Even during band also, I used to play trumpet only. Then we'll discuss how I got interested in trumpet. But let me, because this discussion has come, singing of bhajan. I came to Hyderabad in 2002, and in 2000, I think 8, I joined the Alkapuri, the present Samiti, and it's very interesting. Uh, Here, people
Bhargav,
then.
Bhargav,
Uh,
I would like to hear your story, but since Bharat has to leave early,
okay,
I just want to tell everybody that Bharat has to. He has a call from the hospital. So before
oh,
Bharat, you have still 5-10 minutes here. So
sure, sure.
before you go, let me spend some time with you. Uh, I would at the outset, I would like you to choose a bhajan of your taste, the flavor, and maybe you can offer that to Bhagwan.
Yeah, yeah. There are so many bhajans which we don't usually hear. Um, um, Here, I mean, I think you remember Pandit Srivastav and his
Yes,
old time.
Guruji. Yeah, yeah.
Guruji, yeah, yeah. So I would like to sing one of those bhajans here. I think I sang it in an ABAT series. I haven't got a copy of it yet, but
Sure, sure. Like to listen to you.
because this morning, it's Rag Bhairav. गंगाधर सांब सदा शिव गंगाधर सांब सदा शिव साई राम सत्य साई राम साई राम सत्य साई राम आओ आओ श्री भगवान आओ आओ साई भगवान प्रकट हुए थे तुम शिरडी में प्रकट हुए थे तुम शिरडी में प्रकट हुए हो अब परती में प्रकट हुए हो अब परती में जीवन ज्योत जलाओ साई आओ आओ श्री भगवान आओ आओ साई भगवान गंगाधर सांब सदा शिव.
Beautiful. Bharat, let me ask you a final question before you want to leave. And if you have time, then we can continue.
Yes.
You have seen Bhagwan from a very informal setting, and then obviously you have stayed with him for a good number of years and interacted in that manner. And I'm sure we all experience him even till date. How would you explain the evolution of Bhagwan in your life over the years?
Yeah, the best way to explain to me is that it's difficult to enunciate, but I think the best way to put it is, we were in front of Bhagwan with him for so long, but I feel his presence here more than I ever felt when I was in Prashanti Nilayam, because the faith now is deep set in the Mansell, right? And you can feel his presence in times of need, in times of interact. Let me share with you a couple of stories. um, I was in Ontario, Canada, and there was a Christmas dinner, and I went, work Christmas dinner, and I was in for the Christmas dinner. I was there, and I, I was leaving early, and as I left early, I was just saying hello to everybody, and I had Bhagwan's locket on me, and as I was speaking to one of the nurses who I work with in the operating room, my locket fell with Bhagwan's picture on it, and her husband, who was an Asian guy, I looked at it, and he looked at me and said, "Oh, that is Sai Baba." And I was so shocked, and I looked at him and said, "How do you know Sai Baba?" He says, I was an orphan in Singapore, and I was brought up by my uncle. He was a strict, terrible man. He used to beat me up. The only time he was happy was when he went to put up and came back. And here I am somewhere in Ontario, and somebody's telling me about Swami and his locket. So many. I mean, we somehow feel that we are the ones who Bhagawan gave grace to. Bhagawan gave grace to millions of people by a single word or a glance. I had hurt my back working out, and I was at a chiropractor's office, and the same thing happened in the chiropractor's office. I had the locket, and he saw it, and he said, "Oh, this is Sai Baba." And I looked at him and said, "How do you know Sai Baba?" "Well, when I was young, my father used to take me for bhajans, you know, and I used to love the bhajans." And then I said, "Okay, do you want me to give you one of my bhajan albums?" He said, "Man, I would give you such a big hug if you give me a bhajan album." So when well, I gave him a bhajan album, and he loved it. He has it in his car. He plays it every day, and we forget that Bhagwan is God to so many people and has touched so many lives. And it is presumptuous for us to believe that we were the only ones who knew Bhagwan.
Bharat, any regrets in life? If you look back,
No, I don't think that there are any regrets in life. I mean, the only regret would have been if I was not with Bhagwan in that golden age period. And if I was there, what can I say? I think he gives us the ability to be who we are. Again, the bhajan, his blessings for bhajan was a bigger picture. You see, I don't think it was so important for me to sing in the mandir in front of him, although I thought that was very important. I think it was more important that he gave me the aptitude to sing bhajan so I could form a bridge to connect with him whenever I wanted to.
so he gave that blessings to you.
Yes, yes. So with that, brothers, I'm going to leave you. I have
Thank you,
to.
Bharat. Thank
I
you
have.
for your time and appreciate it. Wish you
Yes,
all the best.
yes, Sairam. Good to see you, Bhargav.
Sairam.
Yeah, Sairam.
Be safe. Be safe in your COVID times.
Yes, I will. I will. Sairam.
Sairam. So Bhargav, I'm sorry to cut you that time because he had to
No
leave.
problem.
So I thought
Yeah,
let
yeah,
me at least have a conversation with him.
yeah. Sure,
So
sure. Yeah,
Bhargav, yes. Now you can explain that. You're talking
yeah,
about bhajans and yes.
yeah. So when I joined this Samiti, uh, apart from me, Kantarao sir, Dr. K. Sai Kantarao, he was
Yes,
there
yes.
in the bhajans. He was in the Samiti from beginning, and devotees here expected me to sing because Swami student, so he must be good at singing. But how to tell? No, I don't sing. I can't sing bhajans. But only I had only choice that I had to sing. There is no other choice. So here we have a really vibrant group of devotees here. Really, they go into ecstasy while doing bhajans. And the only thing I had was in front of me Swami and his chair, and I closed my eyes and started singing bhajans. And I thought only one thing I thought was Swami, it is you who are singing and you who are listening. The only thing is you are using my throat, and that was the only prayer I started with, and I sang the bhajan. And Kantarao sir told, so our Samiti has got another bhajan singer. I told, no sir, I am not a singer at all. He told, no, no, you are fixed as a singer. And my bhajan singing started from then. And uh, a little going back, a little back, my mother used to say when I was a child, uh, she used to tell everyone, whoever used to come to my house, she used to tell, my son sings bhajans and plays dholak. In fact, I never knew how to play dholak, and I never knew how to sing also. But she used to sing till her last breath. In 2007, no, my son plays dholak and sings bhajan. And probably in 2010, when I joined the Samiti, I started singing bhajans. And shortly after 2 years, maybe 2012, there was a need for dholak. And I started playing dholak. And now D. Sairam also has joined. He's my own batchmate. And from him, I learned how to play some dholak beats. And it's his blessing, as Bharat told. It's the blessing of Swami, his anugraha, and my mother's blessings, her wishes that I should play dholak and sing. And frankly speaking, I had no and absolutely no background of music, and things are going on.
So, how was your journey in the music band?
My journey into band, I give the credit to Puttaparthi alone and my seniors. I'll just tell you one instance. Uh, Before I go into this instance, I want to compare this Swami's institutions with the top-rated institutions of the world. The top-rated institution, like I don't want to name, they give training of how to apply bookish knowledge in the society. And Swami's institutions train us how to apply scriptures in the society. So that
Nice.
develops
Okay.
the skills in you, that develops the confidence in you, that brings out the inborn talent in you. That one difference I have found in Swami's Institute. Of course, we all study chemistry, physics, everything. You have studied commerce, and you are well off. That is not at all a problem. But the main importance is applying of scriptures, the values, moral values in the society. That's very important. And let me come to know how I joined band. One day we are returning from darshan, and in that group, I'm sure you remember Sonam Gamso. He's from
Of course.
Sikkim,
Of course.
and
Everybody. Yeah.
he's our elder brother. He's a very good bhajan singer and accordion player. And I was accompanying him, and along with him we had two three people. Uh, Narang used to play tabla, and one more Harish uh,
Mirpuri.
Mirwani, Mirpuri,
Mirpuri.
Harish
Mirpuri.
Mirpuri. Yeah,
Hmm.
Harish Mirpuri. He was a good accordion player and harmonium player, and a couple of younger brothers also was there. Of course, Sunil Narang and Harish Mirpuri, they were younger to me because they were our juniors in school. They were in 8th class and we were in 11th or 12th. And while walking down, Sonam asked four, five of us. He asked Harish, "What are you good at?" He told, "I'm good at play accordion." Didn't say I was good, but he told, "I play accordion." Then Sunil, he told, "Yes, sir, I play tabla." Then he asked another person. He told, "Sir, I don't know anything, but I am good at sports." Then came my turn. He asked me, "What are you good at?" I was just staring because I was neither good at sports, nor at studies, nor in music. I was zero in everything. And that was the beginning of 11th class. And then Sonam told, "My dear boy, this is a very rare opportunity that you have come to Puttaparthi. And under guidance of blessings and blessings of Swami, you have to do something. You can't just waste of your time." And that worm, jo kida, he put it in my brain. And from that time, I didn't have good sleep. I told everyone is good at everything, something or other. And I am here, I'm good at nothing. I'm just passing time, going to darshan, enjoying Swami's darshan, coming, having good food and sleeping. And 12th class came, and our 60th birthday celebrations. I think after 12th class, first degree, everyone was busy with. I think you people were busy with band, and Swami was giving interviews to band and music, dance, so many activities during 60th birthday. And I was not at all involved in anything, but I had a strong desire that I should get involved in something. And I was praying Swami very, very seriously. Swami, please, 60th birthday, it's a one time opportunity in our lifetime. Because our fortune is during Swami's time we were born. And it is our fortune that we were present during 60th birthday of Swami. And Swami, here I am without any basic skill. I am wasting away my time. Please, 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 I pray to you, please involve me in something. Please teach me something. And I saw you people playing band instruments. I went to band room or a music room. There I found one old trumpet. The first sports meet, I remember someone played that long horn, and that was the old trumpet I found in the music room. I didn't have any confidence that I'll be playing this trumpet in, but I just picked it up. I just started playing in the music room, and the next day, some of our elder brothers came and told me, "Please, brother, it's a headache for us. Please go into the ground and play there." I said, "Okay." I went to Shanti Vedika. I was playing behind Shanti Vedika, and along with me was brother Prabal Mal. He was practicing saxophone. When we both were Jodidar, Jugalbandi was going on there. And there also people told, "No, brother, here it's really disturbing our band and other programs." Then I told, "Okay." I told Prabal sir, "Sir, please forgive me. I'm going behind that mountain was there. Na? Now at present, Hanuman statue is there. That time,
Yes,
Hanuman
yes.
statue was not there.
That
So
Hillview
I used
Mountain,
to,
Hillview Stadium
yes,
Mountain.
Hillview mountain.
We used to
I
walk up
climbed that,
there.
yes, I climbed that mountain. I put my direction of the horn towards the other side, and I used to play there. And I used to practice almost for I think 4 to 5 hours, morning, early morning or 2 hours, and evening 3 hours, and no sound used to come out of that. That was a really horrible instrument, and
Let
it
me
is fully
let
jammed.
me tell you let me tell you how this whole thing started, because you had reminded me of it now. Uh, Before us, there was, military band which used to come most often to,
Yes, yes.
for programs, and there was a student band before, but it was not a real band. It was only drums and all that. So I think that year Swami announced to have a drum band, and usually the music boys would join in anything musical. And when they picked it up, Bhagwan, it seems, told them that you already are in bhajan, give it to other boys. So they had to drop the instruments, and they were all Indian instruments. They were different. And we one afternoon we get a call from warden that come to the office, and few of us went, and he said Swami has selected you all to join band, and the instruments were lying in the office. So he said pick up whichever instruments you like. Now the problem was, I'll tell you the name of the people who were called, and none of us had any musical sense. So it was, I'll tell you the names. You laugh at it. It was Ratnakar, who's our who's our
Yeah,
head of the trust right now, and it was G.V. Sanjay from
states.
from
Yeah,
American
US.
States. Yeah, myself, Basab Sur. So we were all genius people who had no inclination of instrumentation. And when I was given a choice to choose, I looked at this instrument, it looked small to me, and it had only three keys. So in my mind, I'm thinking there's a small instrument and only three keys. So it will be easy. See, rather than picking up a clarinet or something which has got so many keys to play with, so I thought this will be easy, so I picked it up. GV Sanjay, if you remember, he was a well-built guy. He's a very strong person, a tall, well-built guy,
Yes, yes, yes. Well built.
and
Yes.
he was scarcely looking at which instrument to pick up, and he picked up piccolo. Piccolo is a small flute, it's like a
Small.
very, very
Yes.
smallest instrument in the whole band. And he thought that it is so small that who will hear me? So he picked up that, not because he liked to play flute. He picked up that. Ratnakar played flute.
Flute.
He,
Yes.
he picked up flute. All of them had thought that it's an easy instrument to play, and hence they chose. So we all selected like that. We chose the instruments, and ultimately we got trapped. We realized that I became the lead instrument player, trumpet, and Sanjay, Ratnakar, realized later on that the shrill
Still
sound of flute could hear the whole
very
stadium,
prominent. Yes, yes, yes.
so nobody could escape. So like that, we joined the band, and we had no idea about the shruti, the sense. Forget reading music. We had no idea what that sound means. And the instrument was so much old, that when we play for half an hour, it would get
Get
dry.
stuck. Yes.
So you not only had to press the knob, I had to
Pull
pull
it
it
out.
also.
Yes,
So you can
yes,
imagine playing with pressing and then pulling, pressing and then
yes,
playing.
yes.
So that's how we played our band. It was so hilarious. And I
So
would remember
the
1 month before 60th birthday, which you are mentioning, we were still learning scale. We were
okay.
memorizing songs because we didn't know how to read. So we were memorizing song. They had given us that clamp, that you had that
Yes,
notation
yes.
clamp at the front of the instrument. And on that clamp, people usually put the notations to read the music. We used to write Om Shri Sai Ram and Lara theme. So the song's name will be there. It was like a pretension reading, So we used to pretend reading.
Yeah.
1 month before, and Swami came to the stadium one. He used to come for a drive, and we were all practicing there. And he stopped the car, he rolled the window, and he said, "Start, play something." And we picked up the instrument. And in those days, we had a habit that before starting, we would play a note, the first note we would play.
Yes, yes.
So I don't remember who was the band leader at that time. I think Deepanjan or somebody was there. He said he gave an indicator to play the note, and we played the first note. And that note was so horrible. Somebody said, "Abba," he did like that, and he closed his ears. And when he did that, I don't know whether he was joking or not, but we all started crying. We left the instruments and we came around his car and we started crying. He opened the door. He's looking at, "Hey, what happened?" And we are all crying and shouting, "Swami, I'm sorry. We are sorry, Swami." Swami said, "What happened?" Then his mood changed. He started pacifying us. And we all were telling him that, "Bhagawan, no, we don't want to disappoint you. We are sorry. We are still learning notation. It's only a month or so left for the program. It will be horrible if we play on that day and we mess it up. So please forgive us and bring the army back." So we were like that praying. And Swami said, "Hey, never think like that. It's not your problem. Your duty is to play, practice. Rest, you leave it to me."
Yes,
So
exactly.
he made us, happy. And then he said, "Practice, don't worry. I will take care of rest."
Yes.
And Bhargav, it exactly happened because when we reached, convocation, if you recall, it was in the Hillview Stadium, and we brought Swami in the procession. It was very beautiful because we were all dressed up. That's another story that Swami got us band dresses stitched. That was the first time when he got his dress stitched,
Yes,
and
yes,
his
yes.
own tailor from Bangalore had come. So he got us pants first measured and stitched, and then he brought a trial. And Swami came for darshan, and he said, "All of us go to Puranchandra." So we went to the Puranchandra auditorium, and there the tailor was waiting with the pants. And as soon as we saw that, and we were wondering, like, okay, we must be trying it out. And Swami came. He came into the hall. He said, "Boys, get ready fast. Wear the pants." And he himself walked down and he was standing in front of the stage, and he said, "Now start walking." So we did a kind of a, you know, I would say a fashion walk for him, and we stopped in the middle. Then he said, "Turn around." So literally, we used to walk,
Okay,
turn
very
around, show it to him,
nice.
then walk. Then at some boy, I think to me also, he came up and he said, "No." Then he said, "Your seat." He showed us exactly how the pant should be.
So,
And the thought came into my head and said, "Swami, you have never worn a pant, you know. But how, Swami has never formally worn a full pant." And he was so detailed in explaining how a pant should look, how the fall should be, how how it should flow, that it doesn't obstruct your movements. It was amazing. And
yeah,
the next day he brought us with a fur coat. We wore a coat. He helped us in wearing. He saw that wrinkles are not there. So like that, he got our dresses done. And
every
then we
detail he takes care.
detail. And then on that day of convocation, I remember we had breakfast in the mandir because all the convocation people are dressed up, and Swami had organized the breakfast for us in the mandir. So we got dressed and had breakfast. Then we walked. Then Swami told us, "Do not play the whole way. You'll get tired." So he told the
Yes,
drummer to just keep hitting. He said, "You play now in Mandir. When you cross Puttaparthi village, stop playing and only go
okay,
with the beat.
yeah,
And
kettle
once you
drum.
enter the stadium, you start off."
Oh,
So,
yeah,
and then he made several people, walk next to us with water bottles. And he said,
yeah,
"Walk along with my boys. If they feel thirsty, give them the water." So during the procession, also, he was very watchful that while we are walking, and he would be waving to the crowd and having a look at us that who is walking in what way, and if they need water, he would point out and give water. So all
yeah,
that he did. And then ultimately, when we settled down in the stadium, Swami said, "My boys are wearing white dress, band suit was a white back." So he said that they should not sit on the sand. So he
cheers.
got chairs for us. So we were sitting in a concert formation, and our actually job was done. We were not supposed to play after that. We were
Yeah,
only supposed to accompany the singers for national anthem. And after 2 hours of playing, when the whole thing got finished, then I recall uh, the Swami finished the discourse, and the guest had spoken. The Swami spoke, and then everybody got up for national anthem. And as soon as the mic was put in front of the singer, music boys to sing, Swami indicated, "No, put the mic in front of band." And he just wanted to show off that my band boys will play the instrument. So suddenly the whole portfolio changed. And the mic was brought. And can you imagine who got the mic? The lead trumpet player.
lead
So
trumpet. Yeah,
it was
Abhimanyu
me
Gaur,
in the middle. Gautam Dutt as Bharat
Gautam.
Elder was on my right, and Basab Sur was on my left. And I keep telling this as a very humorous incident because Gautam was the only guy who knew a little bit how to play properly. I could play, but I didn't have a sense of the shruti. I could drop in and up and down. My shruti was not sure. And Basav was genius. He could play any song with only one finger. So how he managed, he only knows. And suddenly, when Swami said play, we had no time to even warm up our lips. You are a
Yes,
trumpet player, so you get numb, so we don't know what to do. So Bhargav, you know that we had an exercise, right?
yes,
Like that, we used to do
yeah,
exercise
yeah.
to
You have to warm it up. Yeah,
warm it up and get the bloods going. So when Swami said play, we were like okay. And when trumpet like mic came in front, we didn't know what to do. We started playing, and in the middle of national anthem, I was done. My lips were getting swelled up. I was getting numb, and I was trying to press. And if you press the trumpet in a little, because trumpet is an instrument which is not only played by the fingers, it is actually played by lips and breath. So if your trumpet lips move, then your shruti also goes up and
everything
down, and it's
changes. Yes,
horrible. It can be horrible, and especially when your mic is in front of you. So I thought that there's a place in national anthem where it dips for a second. So I thought in that I'll take a break and I'll do my little put quickly and come back. And I thought because two are playing, so it'll be okay. And I did that. Exactly at that moment, I moved my lip and turned to do brr. And I realized Gautam also at the same time turned and did that. So both of us looked at each other at the same time and we realized, oh my God, we both have lost it. Now, for that few seconds, there was no trumpet. And when I turned back, I saw Basab, my friend, was totally out of the world. He had already removed the trumpet and he had no hurry. He was doing like that. So, for sure, I knew that at that moment, none of the trumpets were playing. And you could not have national anthem without trumpet.
Yeah.
So we actually, Gautam and myself were very sad, and we thought that we finished, we had done, it's a blunder, it's been done. And we were actually looking down when national anthem got over, and Basab nudged me and he said, "Hey, Swami is smiling from the stage." So then I looked up and I saw Swami was giving a big smile to us. And as he walked down to his car, he gave us a thumbs up. So I looked at Gautam looked at me, and we were like, something happened, man. Swami has done his job, because we knew that we have messed it up. We have messed it up completely. But somehow Swami was like, okay. And Basa was like, hey, we did it, man. So I didn't know what happened. And when Swami left, boys came and they complimented us. And I heard it. Bhargav, I heard the recording after that. And it was a flawless recording. There was not even a second of dip. That gives you a feeling. You understand that, oh my God, we pretend, we think that I'm the player, I'm practicing and all that. We are just doing our duty. The outcome is in his hands, and he very beautifully does that.
Exactly.
So,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
so
Yes.
we became trumpet players. Can you imagine? I played with Maynard Ferguson,
Yeah. Yeah. We played with Maynard, the greatest jazz player.
jazz player in the world,
Yeah.
and you played more than me afterwards, right?
Yeah. That's what. After that practice, Krishnamurti Gopinath, you remember?
Yeah.
He told me you are working really hard. Please, I want to just understand your problem. I told I don't. My only problem is I want to participate in 60th birthday. Then he told, okay, you play. That time Maynard had given three trumpets, one golden and two silver trumpets.
Yes.
And so Krishnamurti Gopinath told me, you play this Maynard's trumpets. And you can see in the picture, I'm holding one silver trumpet beside
This is
Ratnakar.
you. Yes,
Yeah,
that is Ratnakar with his
yeah,
flute. That is
yes,
Sanjay. That is
yeah,
Maynard Ferguson.
yes,
That
yes,
is
yes,
you,
yes.
Jagdish
And
Chawla,
yeah,
Basav,
Jagdish, yeah, Basab sure, yes. And
Robin Daly.
that time,
Hmm.
the sound of the trumpet really came out really very well, because I was used to that old dilapidated trumpet. This new trumpet, it really sounded good. And Krishnamurti Gopinathan, he told Maynard. Maynard came and just tested. He told, yeah, this guy is playing very nicely. I was really shocked. How can this happen? I was playing scales also, and suddenly Maynard went to Swami and told Swami, for my program 60th birthday, I need three people, and three people are selected. And Swami told, yeah, yeah, I know. You take those people. And myself, Vidyadhar, and Vijay Sai, we played for Maynard on the stage, Shanti Vedika for his jazz numbers. I think Vema Mukunda on Veena, and Maynard on the trumpet, Abhinav Upadhyay, and good. All these people are musicians, and here we are without any music background, without any learning of trumpet. We are playing with the greatest jazz player and greatest of devotees of Swami, and that's how I think I was introduced to band and trumpet.
That's beautiful. I think so much memories, so many brothers here. If they, I'm sure they are seeing, it'll
Yeah.
be flooding them with that. This is actually an outside the institute foyer
Yes. Yes. Yes.
where
Yes.
I think Swami had come to watch the dance because I
Yeah.
see Sanjeev Abhi and Rajgopal on the side here,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
and this is they are having a handkerchief, so it must be a
Handkerchief.
dance practice. And when
Bhangra.
he
Yes.
came out, Kabir used to be the band leader at that time. Yes,
Yes.
Kabir
Yes.
was here,
Yes.
Sayyid Kabir.
Yes. Yes.
and all of us are practicing here. So
And this scene, you can see Swami staring at the trumpets, and I am staring at Swami. This is a I remember one instance. Uh, Really, this is a life lessons for me. See, when I was there in the band, and we had to perform in for Guru Purnima, I think 1986. 85, I think I went into band. I learned trumpet, and during the practice, I was told, "See, Bhargav, you play very nicely trumpet. You play alap for Manasa Bhajare." And during the practice, the tune really came very alap came really very nicely. And on the veranda, uh, we were set at 7 o'clock. Swami came out. I was really proud. People were telling, "Oh, you are equal to Maynard Ferguson," and really my ego went up so high. I was thinking that I was almost like Maynard only, because I was playing the third E, so it is really difficult. But somehow Swami
it's
gave that.
almost two octave higher.
Yeah, yeah. And people are praising me. You are Maynard Ferguson of Puttaparthi, and I was really bloated like a balloon. And here came the Guru Purnima, and Swami came out. We are ready, and Swami came in front of me, and he was standing, and he told, "Okay, start." And I was supposed to play the Manas Bhajare Alap, so he just stared at me like this. I lifted my trumpet, and I stared at Swami. And you know what happens when Swami stares at you and you stare, you are looking at Swami's eyes. I forgot the whole thing. My first note, because of the tension, it started with some other note. And the alap was so horrible. Swami just gave a beautiful smile and walked away. I stopped it in the middle, and the program was over. And the people who said you are Maynard Ferguson, they came and told, uh, "You have messed it up. Because of you, the whole program is gone." And Swami has no, he didn't tell anything. And our own people, they told Bhargav it was not good. I felt very ashamed. I told I am not at all a trumpet player. How could I even think that I am more than Maynard? That was my ego. And my ground zero was I came to know about my actual state of affairs. And from then I really remembered Swami's words that what we are playing is because of my will, and if any sound is coming out, it is because of me only. So please don't get the ego that you are playing and you are the master of the instrument. Because I then only I realized that I never knew music. I never knew how to play trumpet before the stalwarts. So that was a real life learning lesson. And after that, I never even dared to think that I was an expert in trumpet.
Bhargav, it's interesting. You did not have any musical background, and you said you started singing. And I think you are a decent singer now. Do you mind singing few lines?
Sure, Sairam. It is, as I told you, it is the blessings of Swami and my mother. And my mother's favorite bhajan, uh, she always used to ask me, "You sing Arunachala Shiva Om." And even Samiti also, most of the devotee members, they tell, "Please sing Arunachal Shiva Om with alap." So I'll just sing the alap and a few lines of the bhajan.
Sure, please. Hmm.
अरुणाचल शिव वो त्रिशूलधारि शिव हरिनारायण साई नारायण जय देवी भारती विद्यादायिनी अन्नपूर्णमतो जय जगदीश हरे जय गोविंद हरे साई नित्यानंद ब्रह्मानंद जय गोपाल हरे अरुणाचल शिव ओम त्रिशूलधारि शिव हरिनारायण ओम साई नारायण ओम जय देवी भारती विद्यादायिनी अन्नपूर्णमतो Sairam.
Bhargav, it is difficult to believe that you could never sing. I think it's all His grace.
This is purely
Bhargav,
Swami's grace, and you are testifying in front of this huge audience, Swami's audience, that I was not at all a singer, a bhajan singer, and now I am singing. If all have liked it, then it is purely Swami and my mother's blessings. Other than that, I have nothing in this. I have no inclination towards music, frankly speaking.
nice. Bhargav, let me ask you a question. You know, you were born in a family at that time when your parents had already become firm with Bhagawan, and you said that you believed in him completely. The concept of God evolves over the years. So, if I may ask you, how would you explain that concept evolving, that Bhagawan becoming Bhagawan, if I put it like that? What is your journey of that evolution?
Before coming to Parthi, before listening to Swami's discourses, uh, my concept is Bhagavan is Bhagavan. And after coming to Puttaparthi, after listening to Swami's discourses for 7 years, Bhagavan told, I am not this body at all. I am you, you are me, and the whole universe is permeated with only one consciousness, super consciousness, and we all are that. And I, because I took initially Bhagavan as Bhagavan and my Guru, I take it as it is. And now also, when Bhagavan is not in his physical form, I contemplate Bhagavan in this physical form and slightly go towards a higher plane where I feel that he is permeating the whole universe. He is in this body, in this form. He is in this living and non living. So he is omnipresent, omniscient. He is there in every Jad Chaitanya, what we call in Hindi, Jad and Chaitanya, that which is living and which is not living. And is Anuror, Aniyam and Mahatomahiyam, the smallest and the small and biggest of the big. He is there. And
Anoraniyan,
that's what
Anoraniyan, Mahato Mahiyan. Huh.
Mahatomahiyam. And I believe it till today, and I contemplate Bhagavan in that form only. And my journey started with Bhagavan in the physical form as the God, and it is now in the super consciousness.
Did you have this faith? Does it come from an experience or an understanding, or is it just an life which teaches you? How would you put it like that?
This has come through experience only. Let me tell you, uh, after Samadhi, Mahasamadhi, uh, in Alkapuri Samiti, we have a number of service activities going on, and we have started about 2 years back a medical camp, free medical camp, and Swami likes medical camps a lot. He likes service in the medical field. So our elders in the Samiti said, when Swami likes that, why not we start medical camp? And you won't believe, uh, I think I have the photographs also. Uh, Whenever a doctor, a non-devotee, doctor sees this medical camp, he says, sir, I want to serve here. He's not a devotee, but he says, sir, I want to come on Sundays and serve in this free medical camp. And you won't believe, whenever a new doctor comes to the Samiti to serve the medical camp, we have Vibhuti materialized on Swami's photo. That's really amazing. I have not heard of any god, any miracle, any temples, but here we have miracles happening after Swami's Mahasamadhi. What do you call? You call it Swami is there everywhere. Not only in Alkapuri, Hyderabad, the same materialization of Vibhuti is taking place in other parts of the world also, parallelly. If this is not omnipresence and omniscience of Bhagawan, what is it? If he is not God, how can he recognize, how can he materialize such things from nil, from nowhere? And that too when he is physically not present in this world. Many miracles are happening, but the Maya is such that, oh, materialization of Vibhuti. We have seen materialization of Vibhuti when Bhagavan was there physically. But after Mahasamadhi, when Vibhuti is getting materialized, in our Samiti, we have seen Kumkum materializing. I have the photograph also. I think if it is not the omnipresence and omniscience of Bhagavan Satya Sai Baba, what else is it? Who is doing all these things? The Mahamaya is covering our eyes. But this is the golden age, as Swami said. I am there with you people as shadow. Inchi inchi nenunnanu. I am there, every inch is telling.
I think you're talking about this picture, right?
Yes, this is the picture you see. You have a small kumkum, and another picture is also there where Vibhuti is got materialized.
Sorry, here.
Yeah, this one. This Vibhuti got materialized on January, I think, 21st. And just when a new doctor came in, and another picture is there where on the throne we have Vibhuti. I think that was on November 23rd. We finished Swami's Pallaki procession, and we came to Mandir, our Samiti Mandir, and we saw Vibhuti materialized here. Still, what proof does the world need that He is our God? He is omnipresent and omniscient. And with that confidence, with that faith, really I have no other God. I don't go to any temples. I visit temples for taking some people, but frankly speaking, my God is only Bhagavan.
Bhargav, let me ask you another dimension to that. Whatever we have learned is His grace, no doubt about it. But on one hand, it becomes a kind of a duty to share this joy of learning. And certainly not with an intent to change anybody. We are not here to, don't claim to be transforming people and all that. But as Bhagavan says, you have been given so that you can give. So we are as a conduit. And what do you do to pass these values, this learning? How do you do that to your children and to the people around you? And I would like to even ask you about your professional touch, because I believe you are a trainer also.
Yeah.
So how do you mix these into everything of your life?
See, Abhi, I firmly believe that, as you said, we are not here to change anyone. We have to follow whatever Swami has said, and within the organization, we have to work. And let me give you an example. It just struck me, and I felt that was apt, and I'm sure people will enjoy this. We have seen, you are from Kashmir, you have seen snow packed mountains and streams. When the snow melts, the stream comes down, the rocky slopes and huge boulders, they roll down. They become small, nice pebbles, and further it goes down, and it reaches the stream reaches in the form of a river. It reaches the ocean, mighty ocean. Okay, and these pebbles, they become sand and reach the ocean. So here, let me compare ourselves with the snow particles. The people who are there in Swami's, under Swami's umbrella, they are snow particles, and when Swami's grace comes on them, the Sathya ordination people, the snow particle melts into water. The the nature of water is to flow down. The nature of water is not to influence the boulder and make it a water. We are not here to convert a boulder into water. The only nature of water is to flow down the slopes, to follow Swami's instructions. And the boulders can't resist themselves from the force of affection and love that the Sai devotees are flowing in the form of water. They also run down. They form beautiful pebbles. Then they form the sand and reach the ultimate target, that Swami. We all, our goals are to reach Swami only, but not changing our nature. It is being ourselves. A non-devotee can never become a devotee, or might they may become devotee. But when they observe our love and affection, and when they see us, our activities, they also get slowly converted. They also contribute to, as I told you, non-devotees are becoming doctors, coming to do the seva. Similarly, in our one of our old elders, he was talking to Murthy Garu. He was talking to me this morning. He was telling he keeps watching. We have huge Swami's posters outside our mandir, and invariably, irrespective of the religion, caste, creed, gender, people stop for a second, wish Swami's photograph, and then proceed. So this is the way we are flowing like a water, and the boulders, they are becoming pebbles, sand, and reaching Swami again. So here we are not to with a intention to influence people, but we have to carry on our own duty that Swami has given through the organization, and see to it that we reach our goal. Automatically, the people, our surrounding people, will follow us. Our own children will see how we are behaving, because children learn by observation. Children do not learn by instructions. So it is a message to all the parents, that even my daughter also, I never told that Swami told this, you do all these things. I used to struggle following Swami's instructions. It's really very difficult to follow Swami's instructions. At a time we err, and we tell Swami, please forgive me. And my daughter used to observe me how it was difficult to follow Swami's instructions, and she also started following Swami's instructions. Fortunately, she got a admission in Anantapur also. She was also a band member, and now of course she is in states. But she is also a devotee, a great devotee of Swami, and she follows Swami also. And in this way, I never gave instructions to anyone, even my colleagues also. My colleagues observed me and they said, we want to go to Puttaparthi. I took them and they were influenced. So it is only our mode of working, our behavior, our following Swami's instructions that they get influenced and they go to Swami. So Swami has a bigger hand in their getting influenced rather than our.
We have to be conduit, just a humble instrument as a conduit for the whole
Yes,
thing to happen.
yes, yes,
Wonderful. Bhargav, I think, we used to always talk about it like Puttaparthi is like a workshop. And Kasturi
yes,
Garu used to come. You remember Kasturi Garu coming to school
yes,
every
yes, yes,
Thursday? He would come and tell Swami
yes,
stories. And he would tell that, the entry room, the mandir, he said these are all workshops.
yes,
And all the broken cars come there, they get dented,
yes,
painted.
yes,
And depending on the damage, he takes
yes,
you inside. So if you
yes,
are going too much inside, that means you need more denting painting. So
yes,
so so it was like that. So that's what I'm. When you said, I was remembering that. It's a workshop thing, and everybody gets fixed. And
yeah,
now the workshop has become the world kind of a thing.
yeah.
So it's a beautiful thing. So Bhargav, thank you so much for your time, for your sharing your life experiences. Would you have any final message which you have learned and you want to say to everybody before we close?
Yeah, it's only whatever is happening in our life, it is a bigger plan of Swami. Uh, Whatever comes to us, we should accept that and go in. Because Swami, I remember in Purnachandra 2010, one of the boys asked Swami, we are not able to give time to serve, do social service activities. Then Swami told a very beautiful thing. He said, you do your job as Swami's service. That itself is enough. You need not leave your job because someone is paying for you to do a job. You don't leave that job and do social service. You do your job as Swami's service. That itself is a great service. That itself is a great contribution to the society. And I tell you, whoever has time, please go in for service. Please participate in Satsai organizations. As I told you, that is Satsai organization is like a snow filled mountain, and there only Swami's grace will be coming, and you become water and you flow to the ocean. So if you join the Satsai organization and the Samitis, you 100% you'll be benefited with that. And I am telling because I am benefited with that, and I am enjoying a lot. It's really a blissful experience for me even now. Every second is a blissful experience. I request one and all, please join Swami's organization. Please, individual sadhana is always there, but Swami's organization, Swami has created this organization for us all to enjoy this bliss of Swami. That's the only message I can give.
Thank you, Bhargav. Thank you, brother, for all your time. And at this junction, I would like to offer gratitude to Bhagawan for all the beautiful memories and experiences that he has showered. And we are able to share that with the devotees and everybody. So thank you once again, Bhargav. And thank you all our viewers for joining us in this beautiful session. And I look forward to your comments and suggestions to move forward. And we'll meet again next week with few more brothers and carry the story of divine forward. Thank you and Sai Ram.
Sai Ram.
Samasta loka sukhino bhavantu.